This is Brad from Endless, and today we're going to be talking about the Twister XT. This is going to be the first in a series of videos I'm hoping to make. Today we're going to cover the differences in the shell between the older Twister Edge on the right here and the brand new Twister XT. So the first thing I'm noticing when I compare the two shells, the interface on the bottom hasn't changed. You know, we still have the metal mounting plates. We've got the screen for ventilation, the cutouts. We still have the anti-torsion box structure that Rollerblade calls it. This is basically this box structure that provides a lot of stiffness to the base of the boot, makes it a really stable, rigid platform. But one thing that Rollerblade did that I think is really nice is they've added these little hash marks. Let's see if we can zoom in here. They put them on either side of the metal mounting plate in both the toe and the heel. And I have to say that I found this makes it really nice for aligning the frame. You get a good sense of where the frame is front to back and also laterally. You know, in the past, what you'd probably do is just try and center it on the holes, but the holes aren't always going to be perfectly in the same spot with respect to the shell itself. But since these hash marks are molded into the boot, this gives us a much better alignment of the frame. The hardware is largely the same. We still have the similar buckles with the same type of plastic latches with the spring-loaded release buttons. Same straps. Same 45-degree buckle and strap here. All this stuff is basically the same. Cuff attachment hardware is the same. They didn't change that. The lace loops have the same hardware. But if we flip it over to the other side, one thing that we can see is, so we can see this here, they've changed the cuff in the area where the release is on the strap. You can see on the new XT there's much more structure built up around this release, which I think is a nice improvement. It really protects things. There it is, kind of from a side view here. If we look at the other one, let's see if we can see that. Yeah, there's a lot more material protruding to protect that latch. So that's a nice addition there. Now Rollerblade, one of the things that Rollerblade says that they did is they improved the fit of these shells. You know, historically the Twister Edge always kind of had it was a very narrow fit. There wasn't a ton of height in the toe box. And so if you had a wider foot, it didn't give you the best fit, or you'd have to go up a size in order to have a good fit on this boot. So what you may be noticing here, let's see if you can see this. I actually have, this is a size 27/27.5, but the new Twister XT that I got, I was able to fit into the 26/26.5. So because of the changes they made to the fit, I could squeeze my foot into a smaller size down, which is huge. Not only do you save the weight from having the smaller shell, but you just get a much more responsive experience. Your foot is going to be much closer to the shell itself. And so that is really nice. I think a lot of people are going to be happy with the way that this boot fits. Not everybody will be able to downsize, but like my foot is 270 millimeters, and so I'm fitting again into the 26/26.5. So if I were like, say, 273 millimeters, I probably would want to still get the 27/27.5. So just keep that in mind when you're trying to figure out your size. So one thing that you may notice is these are not the stock laces. So the laces that come with the new Twister XT are actually not long enough for you to lace them all the way up through the liner. In the next video I make, we're going to talk about the differences between the liner. They did make some improvements there. So I had to swap out the stock laces for these waxed hockey laces I got off of Amazon. The stock laces, they'll only allow you to lace up through this eyelet right there, which doesn't really do me a lot of good. I was told that otherwise on the cuff design, it's basically the same fit and dimensions. They haven't really changed anything else about the cuff other than this area. Let's go ahead and remove the liner here and take a look at the inside of the boot. Take apart both these guys actually. Oh, by the way, the laces that I got are 84 inches. I think the stock ones were about 60. I think you probably could get away with something in the 72 to 76 inch range. So here's the inside of the old Twister Edge. We have this really nice shock absorber that kind of has these little nubs that fit into the holes in the mounting plate. It's a really nice shock absorber. It's kind of a very firm rubber. If you can see into the front, we can see how they've kind of molded that mounting plate into the front of the boot. That's the Twister Edge. And then on the Twister XT, oh, this is going to be a mess to get out because I didn't undo my laces. Kind of dangle this. This will be a total mess here, but again, we have the same nice shock absorber on the inside, and then the construction as far as like, let's see if you can see that, as far as how the mounting plates are molded in there is the same. So I'm guessing that the way that they were able to reduce some of the weight is by thinning out certain areas of the shell. I'm waiting to confirm that with Rollerblade. I did weigh these shells, and I'll probably post that in a separate post, or maybe I'll include it in the video in editing. But I don't have an apples to apples comparison because, again, I'm in the smaller 26 to 26.5 shell versus the 27 to 25, 27.5 Twister Edge. So obviously there's going to be some weight savings just from the going down a shell size, but based on my calculations, I think that the new shell is probably 7 to 9% lighter, which is not a ton, but I think the big difference is that you can get possibly into the smaller size. Okay, now that I've got my liners successfully removed, I did want to mention one thing about this white cuff. No, this is not crappy workmanship on the part of Rollerblade. These cuffs were originally like an army green color, and I thought I would be clever and spray paint them white for some photos, but clearly that did not hold up over time, so I'll probably strip these at some point. Let's see, what else did I want to point out here? The hardware, if anybody is not familiar with these boots, the hardware is great. It feels really solid. Like all the springs have a nice resistance to them. They're very, everything just feels solid. Even though it's a plastic latch here, I mean, everything's really nice. The same with the 45-degree buckle. This actually is a metal latch. And this is a really nice feature, like where the strap comes through, it kind of is captive here, so that holds it tight to the boot. In the inside, I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this, but they have like some protective I don't even know what I'd call it, like tape or, yeah, it's like a tape that they put over the nuts, over some of the hardware so it doesn't scratch the liner. One of them actually came off on the inside here. So, oops, I'll have to find that one. Let's do some, yeah, let's weigh these shells here. Got my scale. I'm gonna make these measurements in grams, so that way all of our international friends will be able to follow along. So let's do the Twister XT first. We've got shell, shock absorber, laces. We're gonna assume that the laces weigh the same because I think I bought the same brand and they're exactly the same length. So we've got 790 grams for this shell. Again, keep in mind that this is a bigger shell than the Twister XT. And for the XT, we've got 720 grams. So what was that again? So 788, 790 versus 720. So that's a 70 gram difference. So if you are like me and you're able to downsize, that's a decent weight savings. Now, some of that, like I said before, is going to be due to the difference in the shell size, but I do think they did reduce the weight in the shell slightly. So there's some contribution there as well. Let's talk about mounting for a sec. So on the bottom of the boot, we've got the two mounting holes. Now this is 165 millimeters between these two holes. Rollerblade does have additional holes here, but they're not threaded. So if we zoom in here, you can see that these are just tooling holes that, you know, for the back, they use these to align the shock absorber. But the ones in the front, I think in both positions, they're used during the manufacturing process to align these mounting plates to the plastic mold itself, so they get all this stuff aligned and straight on the boot. Our Endless 100 frame and the Endless 110 frame require 180 millimeter mounting. If they had put an insert here or tapped this, that would be great, and that would allow our normal Endless 100 frame or the Endless 110 frame to fit. So what I think I'm going to do in a future video is work out a mod where I can get an Endless 100 frame onto this boot, because I'd really like to have the 180 millimeter mounting. And so that's going to involve probably me drilling out this hole, and I'll either install an insert or a T-nut from the inside. And so maybe that's something we can go through in another video.